I'm Santo Baines, and this is Canary, the vlog dedicated to the beautiful wines of the Canary Islands. Like many of you watching, I'm super missing the Canary Islands right now, but I did at least enjoy a little ray of sunshine the other day when I discovered a group of Phoenix canariensis trees growing on England's south coast. Also known as the Canary Islands date palm, this tree is of course indigenous to the Canary Islands. So I thought in celebration of this discovery, we would taste a wine from a native grape of the Canaries, Albillo Criollo, which happens to grow most abundantly on the glorious island of La Palma, which in English means the palm. La Palma is also known as La Isla Bonita, the beautiful island, and it's easy to understand why. Despite its small size, it has an amazing diversity of natural botanical habitats. In a single day, it's possible to see rainforests, deciduous woodlands, pine forests, volcanic shrublands, and of course, a profusion of palms. And the vineyards of La Palma are amongst the most beautiful I have ever seen. In vlog episode 1, we traveled to the south of the island and looked at some historic Malvasia aromatica vines growing on a blanket of fresh black volcanic gravel. This time, we're heading to the incredibly steeply sloping north of the island, where the vineyards can be found way up high, neatly arranged amongst majestic pine forests on small terraces. What we're going to taste today is El Nispero's Albillo 2019. El Nispero was the first to produce 100% Albillo Criollo wine in the Canaries. I've tried several previous vintages and I've absolutely loved them, so I'm really excited to see what this one has in store for us. So let's go ahead and check it out by starting with its appearance. I'd call that a medium intensity, strong yellow, but with a really exciting brilliance, almost a glitter, which suggests to me that this is going to be really lovely and fresh. Let's give it a sniff. Loads of stone fruits, ripe stone fruits, like ripe, juicy peach. And some delectable tropical notes too, like cantaloupe. Now, from having visited this winery several years ago for a wonderful tour by its owner and winemaker Eufrosina Perez Rodriguez, I know that this wine ferments in modern temperature-controlled stainless steel tanks, a process which really helps to pull out the primary aromatics for a young white wine. However, a wine doesn't get this potent on the nose unless the grape that it's from is inherently aromatic, and Albillo Criollo is just that. In fact, I'd say that Albillo is one of the most exciting aromatic white grapes of the Canary Islands, and I really am interested in it also because it is unique to the Canary Islands, being a local crossing of the Canary Islands' dominant white wine grape Liston Blanco and another grape called Verdejo, which is high quality and of Portuguese origin. Let's give it a taste. Tons of stone fruit on the palate as well. Peaches, nectarines too. Really good acidity. So a really flavorful wine, but also really refreshing and clean on the palate. Being at the northwestern edge of the archipelago, La Palma is fully exposed to the Atlantic trade winds that blow in from the northeast. When the moisture-laden sea air hits that steep slope of the north of the island, it gets pushed up, it cools, and it condenses to form something called a mar de nubes, or a sea of clouds. But these grapes grow at an altitude of 1,200 meters, above the normal level where the mar de nubes forms. So up here, the grapes receive plenty of sunshine during the growing season, but also a very high diurnal range, which means that the temperature differential between day and night is extremely large, up to 15 degrees Celsius. This acts to refrigerate the grapes at night. To help to preserve acidity, but also to extend the growing season, which allows the grapes to really concentrate flavor. Let's have another taste. Now, I hope this wine would have this feature, and it does. So, a character of El Bio, particularly in the north of La Palma, is that it has a mouthfeel that has a sort of electric sparkle. And when I say sparkle, I don't mean bubbly, I mean kind of spicy or minerally. Now, is this a feature of the grape or the terroir? Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. But what I can tell you is that the soils where these grapes grow are really striking, rich red volcanic clay, absolutely bursting with minerals. Having said that, I've tried El Bio Criollo wines from other parts of the Canaries with different soils, and they often have that kind of dazzling mouthfeel, although perhaps not to the same extent that I've experienced from wines of the north of La Palma. I think El Níspero Zabiuk is a very pure expression of both El Bio Criollo and the north of La Palma, and I really like it a lot. For me, for its electric mouthfeel, its freshness, and its depth of aromatics, it is an absolutely ideal pairing for Canarian fish that have been freshly pulled in by line from La Palma's coastline. Moving to our viewer question of the day, we have a question from RH in Essex, England, who asks, since the Canary Islands are volcanically active, are any of the vineyards under threat of volcanic eruptions? So this is a really great question and actually quite relevant to this episode. What I can tell you is that the island of La Palma is still highly volcanically active, and the last full-scale eruption occurred in 1971, when indeed many of the best vineyards at the time were destroyed. When I visited the wineries in the area in October 2017, my arrival actually coincided with a swarm of low-magnitude earthquakes that had everybody, particularly the viticulturalists, worried that the island was about to experience another episode of volcanic activity. It didn't happen, so everybody was relieved, but I think, anyway, we need to remember that what Mother Nature may sometimes take away is usually far surpassed by what is given back in return. For example, in La Palma in 1677, a volcanic eruption created Los Llanos Negros, or the Black Plains, which is a viticultural area that has gone on to be one of the most highly regarded in all of Spain. As you can probably tell, I love La Palma. With its abundance of indigenous greenery, La Isla Bonita is indeed very pleasant on the eye. But if you take the time to get to know its native grapes and local wines, you will surely not be disappointed by how it treats your other senses as well. See you next time.